In a recent interview, Mario Barrios stated that the PBC called him and offered him a fight with Errol Spence Jr. Now, this is a good comeback fight for Errol Spence, a really tough opponent against Mario Barrios. He has a pretty big name, so a lot of people will want to watch this fight, as we have not seen Errol Spence fight in a very long time. The last time he fought, he suffered a defeat against one of the pound-for-pound fighters in the world in Terrence Bud Crawford. Now, this fight was supposed to be a 50-50 fight, but Terrence Crawford just dominated Errol Spence from bell to bell. So I believe Mario Barrios is a great comeback fight for Errol Spence. Somebody not too dangerous, but still a very solid fighter. Now, the only issue I have about this is that it will be taking place at 147, since Mario Barrios is the champion at 147. And the issue is not that it's going to be taking place at 147. The issue is that Errol Spence already stated that he could not make 147. I always know there's two sides for every story, and I always try to put myself in everybody's shoes. Now, if Errol Spence does make a comeback at 154, anybody in the top 10 can actually beat Errol Spence, because everybody in the top 10 are very dangerous fighters. So anybody that Errol Spence fights in the top 10, I believe he could either lose or have a bad night and a bad showing. So yes, I do understand that Errol Spence said that he could not make 147, but I believe there is less danger at 147 than at 154. Maybe the weight cut at 147 is less dangerous than any opponent than at 154, because at 147 Errol Spence just has to worry about Brian Norman Jr. and Boots Ennis. I mean, he could fight Stanionis as well, since they're both gonna be coming off a loss. And Errol Spence has a lot of ring rust since he's been out of the ring for almost 2 years. And if Errol Spence does want to come back and start at 154, look at all the opponents he's gonna have to face. Terrence Crawford, Bakram Mataliev, Tim Tszyu, Sebastian Fundora, Brian Mendoza, Keith Thurman, Virgil Ortiz, and the king at 154 because no one beat him, Jermall Charlo. Now that's a lot of names that can make you look bad or even make you lose. So yes, maybe the best move for Errol Spence is to fight 147 and maybe stay there until he gets all the bearings rolling. And he's gonna have to fight Boots in the end. That road will lead to Boots, and I cannot wait for that fight to happen. Now I have Boots beating Errol Spence at 147 because Errol Spence stated that he cannot make 147 anymore. And it does seem that Boots is a special kind of talent. But in Errol Spence's defense, I believe he was BSing about that weight cut that he could not make at 147 anymore, and that
Northpaw the Chicago lit back at you with another one. So Mario Barrios stated that he got offered to fight Errol Spence at 147 pounds. I thought that Errol Spence stated that he could not make the 147-pound weight limit anymore. That's why he got his ass beat by the pound-for-pound king Terrence Crawford. But maybe Errol Spence saw all the stiff competition at 154 pounds and tucked his tail. He said, "Fuck all that noise, you'll rather fight at 147 pounds. All I have to worry is about Boots Ennis. I believe he beats Brian Norman Jr. as soon as he gets his shot against Barrios first. I believe that Brian Norman Jr. can probably beat Errol Spence if Spence does not fight Barrios first. I also don't think Errol Spence was that drained for the Crawford fight. I believe he was high as fuck and could not concentrate on the task at hand. I know Mr. Everything Boxing confirmed this and said that Errol Spence ate an edible before the fight, and Mike Tyson actually gave him the edible. Maybe is Crawford the one that can't make 147 anymore, even though he is smaller than Spence? The only difference is that Crawford is older, and he can't make the weight because of his age. But I hope Spence makes a comeback. I'm actually a big fan of Spence, but that's all, folks. Northpaw has spoken. Now back to the boxing world.
Yes, I'm a big fan of Errol Spence too, Mr. Northpaw. I was actually going for Errol Spence when he fought Terrence Crawford. So yes, I do believe the best move for Errol Spence is to fight at 147 if he can make that weight, I see. But if he cannot make 147, I say he does not fight anybody in the top 10 at 154. I say he takes a softer touch. especially in his comeback fight. We don't want him to get really hurt and just ruin his career. I'm actually a big fan of Errol Spence. Man, I went to the Errol Spence versus Sean Porter fight. Oh my god, worth every single penny. Now, I've seen a lot of great fights on TV and that was one of them. But when you watch a fight like that in person, it just hits different. There is nothing like watching a boxing event live. I love boxing so much. If I had a magic lamp and I had 3 wishes, one of my wishes would be so I could have front row seats to Muhammad Ali and Smoking Joe Frazier 1. I'm not driven by money. I'm driven by stuff that money. I gotta roll. Peace.